Okay, this is a second setup. I've actually removed the plastic strips top and bottom that were covering the gap. The gap seals are still inside the wing, but the seals that I had over the spanning the gap, I've removed. And there might actually be some improvement. So I'm going to run it through some sweeps again and we'll see what we can see. So there's zero. Zero, of course, looks good. And the wing is lined up appropriately. Here, let me move it just a little bit. I'm trying to keep the wing aligned so that it's as though it's flying straight into the wind, representing the 20 degrees of sweep. So there we see that the tufts are nice and straight, as expected. Now I can run this down to, let's go back to 15. Actually, let's, oh, a little bit less, a little less. There's about 15 right there, and the flow looks pretty good, except for at the very root end of the elevon. It's really quite acceptable. Let's take it to 20. There's 20. Yep, I went a little too far. I got lag in the inclinometer. There's 21 degrees, 20.7. Of course, the wind died. We'll wait for the wind to kick up a little bit here. Here we come with a little gust coming through. Now, at 21, we're beginning to see some movement of the tufts towards the tip in the mid-span of the elevon. We got some ends there that are bending out and coming towards me. Let's take it all the way down to 25 and wait for the wind. There's about 25.8, 25.7. And there we have some span-wise flow on the inboard portion, about the inboard half of the elevon, half or 2/3. But previously, with the plastic strips on here, by 25, it was gone completely. And if we go to 30, then we'll see that the everything but the very tip gets fully involved. There's 34 degrees. And at 34 degrees, we have substantial span-wise flow on the elevon. I can bring this back up to 30. Maybe. A little bit more. There's 29.5. And the wind's picking up. So we are getting some separated flow on the aft half of the elevon. Almost over its full span. That's at 30 degrees. Let's come back up to 25. And at 25 we see some of the flow starting to straighten out. We're going to need another little gust coming through here. So what this might be telling me is that the blunt trailing edge before the elevon is tripping the flow and helping it stay attached a little bit longer, which is interesting. It could be the fact that we're operating down at such a low Reynolds number. When I get home, I'll calculate the Reynolds number to see what we're at. We're well below any stall speed that we'd ever fly at. So I don't know, maybe the gap seals are helping along with tripping the flow before it gets to the elevon. Maybe. Maybe I take it out again tomorrow out to Tracy. It's supposed to be quite windy there, up to 20 miles an hour, and run these tests again. I'd have to cut new plastic strips. Or I could just put tape over and just do one setting at a time. So there we have the tip of the elevon is flying at 25 degrees deflection. Certainly not the inboard 2/3. The flow is separated there. There's a significant separation bubble. We come back up and we see it straighten right out like that. So I don't know, maybe there's some possibility that we might be able to fly this wing such that the controls go say, let's see, up here, this is like 25 degrees up. So if we went from 25 degrees up to 15 or so down, like that, we might be okay. Just bias the elevons such that I can't put in more than, there's 20 degrees right there. And as soon as we go down to 30, 35, it flow separates. So we come back up to, bring it back up to 20 here. Let's get it at 20. 18, 19, 19 and a half, 19.7. There, that's right about 20. So it might be good enough to 20 degrees down elevon and about 25 degrees up elevon. And that way, let's see, we'd have some significant reflex in airflow, and I'd be flying around with up elevon all the time. But it might make it such that the aircraft's flyable while we build new wing panels or something like that. I don't know. Hard to say. There's 20. Back up to 0. Back down to about 20. Oh, that was a weird little gust that went through. So steadier wind, and maybe I get out to Tracy tomorrow and have some steady wind and run these tests again. Anyway, interesting to look at. I think I'll leave the gap seals on the inside and start at Tracy tomorrow with the mylar on the outside removed and see how it goes. And then I can always put tape over it to do a temporary quick test. So there we're starting to get some spanwise flow, and that's 25 degrees. And we got a terrible vortex there at the root end of the elevon where it's curling up around the elevon. That probably needs to have a little bit of a fence created there to stop that from wrapping around. But that's the least of my worries at this point. So yeah, if we stuck with 25 up and 20 down, maybe that'll work. Okay.